Alrighty, welcome everyone to a manufacturing live Q&A. It is October in Lane County, and we are celebrating International Manufacturing Month by featuring folks from our 2 tour sites from this week. So first we have Emma. Emma works at Hummingbird Wholesale, which is where we took our live tour on Tuesday. If you have not seen that tour yet, please check out our Facebook, Connected Lane County on Facebook. And one of our latest posts should be that live stream tour. Thank you, Emma, for being here. And then folks from Weyerhaeuser, I am going to invite you to introduce yourselves since there are many of you. So maybe you could say name and title, and we'll start with Casey.
Yes, Casey Humphrey, Human Resources Business Partner.
Excellent. And how about Garrett?
Hey everybody, Garrett Davis. I am our maintenance supervisor.
Excellent. Michaela.
Hi, I'm Michaela Lown, and I am a press production lead.
Hi, Michaela. Mario.
Hi, I'm Mario Reyes. I am the mill manager.
Thanks, Mario. You might recognize Mario from the tour. He was our tour guide. And then Sean, who we cannot see, but we can hopefully hear. Casey, you want to jump in and introduce Sean?
I'll let Garrett do that.
Yeah, so Sean Dilley is a millwright for us. So he's a master millwright.
Excellent. All right, welcome everyone. So I have a few questions here, but I do want to invite anyone participating on this call, students, educators who are Zooming in live, please type in your questions to the chat box. Most importantly, we want to get your questions from the tours answered. So please feel free throughout the Q&A to type in your questions and we'll make sure that we get to all of them. All right, first things first, it's going to be kind of fun to compare these two companies because although you're both manufacturers, you are very, very different companies. So maybe we could talk first about like the size of your operation and your business. So Emma, roughly how many employees work at Hummingbird?
There's about 42, 43, and 8 of them are in the production department.
Okay. Great. And then Casey, to contrast that, do you know about how many employees Weyerhaeuser as like an entire corporation has?
Eugene, we're around 180. As a corporation, a lot.
A lot. Okay. Like
unless
thousands.
Mario, do you know a better number than a lot?
I think we're between 12 and 13,000.
Wow. Holy smokes. And you are an international company, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. All right, very cool. Casey, could you just talk briefly about the culture at Hummingbird? What's it like to work there?
At Weyerhaeuser, yes. So we've Trust Joyce has been around for a long, long time. Weyerhaeuser's been around a long time. I've been here for about 6 months. So the others have been around here a little bit longer. I will say. The culture here is why a lot of people come to work here. We have our people principles. That's a staple in our organization. Treating people respectfully. Questions, making sure we're listening. So I would say our culture is very high. That's something that we kind of hang our hat on. Can we always get better? Yes, I think anybody can always get better. But I would say culture-wise is something that we don't take lightly. Garrett, Michaela, Mario, what about you three? Let's go, Michaela.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I got
Culture-wise.
Yeah, what's the culture like at Weyerhaeuser? What's it like to work there?
I think we're kind of in a way like a tight-knit family, but at the same time, like it can be challenging, but you know what job isn't. But I think we provide a lot of support for each other, and we're very caring and friendly and respectful here. And obviously our product is one of our most important things, but safety is definitely our number one here.
Absolutely. That's great. Thanks, Michaela. Mario or Garrett, anything to add?
I think Weyerhaeuser is a great company to work for. Definitely a very positive culture focused on people, safety, a lot of things that people look for in a company. I started with Weyerhaeuser, 16 years ago, initially as, hey, I want to find a job and get some experience and see where that might take me, thinking of it as a stepping stone someplace else. But 16 years later, here I am, and it's because of the company and value they have in their people and everything else going for them.
That's great. Garrett, just a big thumbs up.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say the one thing I would add to all that, because I echo everything that everyone said already, but one of the fun things about kind of a manufacturing setting is that it's very similar to kind of like a sports team almost, right? Where you're all going after a very similar goal, right? And you're all working together kind of towards that goal, and you've got different roles, different jobs, people doing very different things. It's some people in the same job, right? So there's a lot of that kind of team feeling as well that can be brought into it. That's, I think, pretty unique to the manufacturing setting, and also makes it a lot of fun. So
that's great. I like that. It makes it easy to visualize too when you say it's like a sports team. Emma, did any of that resonate with you and what it's like at Hummingbird?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not as big at Hummingbird, of course.
Sure.
Our production team's 7-8 people, and we've split them up over time and space as a COVID prevention measure. So that team feeling that is like, it's my favorite part about production and manufacturing work, is it's not quite as fun as it has been, and hopefully will be in the future again. But we are still a team, and I definitely, there's language barriers and different ways that people interact, but the product and the values of the product, the sustainability, integrity, and prosperity, those flow all the way through. And I would say I have a great time working at Hummingbird. And the mission-driven nature of the company, I think, draws a lot of people to work for Hummingbird, to feel like they're bringing this organic, sustainable food to their community, and helping to turn more acreage into organic production, which is hopefully going to help reduce carbon emissions and build topsoil, which everybody wants, I think. And so I would definitely say that sort of positive, proactive approach permeates into the work as well. There's like a few different taglines, keywords that we use. It's the system, it's not the person. If something goes wrong, we want to set people up for success. When we make a mistake, it's how fascinating. Let's meet these challenges with curiosity. There's rule number 6, don't take yourself too seriously. Just stuff like that, it really adds to the fun quota of a regular day job.
That's great. So one thing that we noticed a bunch on our tour of Hummingbird is just how eco-conscious and eco-friendly the company is, from the building that you work in to where you source your ingredients, and to how you package and send out your product. Can anyone from Weyerhaeuser, can you speak to that at all as far as Weyerhaeuser's manufacturing operation? Have you taken steps? I'm sure you have, but what are some of the steps that you've taken as a company to be more, eco-friendly?
There's a lot of things we can go there. I'll start off and see if anybody else wants to answer there. Weyerhaeuser has a set of core values that we live by. One of those is sustainability, right? And obviously there's a lot of environmental friendly practices that go into that. Obviously in the forest lands and the timber that we grow and we harvest, there's a lot of care and work and thought that goes into that. How do we do this in a way that's environmentally friendly? How do we make sure that we are sustainably managing our forest lands? We are obviously planting and producing more trees than we're cutting down. improving our carbon footprint. So that's a huge part of it. But that sustainability initiative goes through the entire company, from managing raw materials that we bring in all the way to how we dispose of things. Are we doing that in the right way? Are they environmentally friendly? It goes very deep, and I'd invite anybody else to provide examples here from the Weyerhaeuser team on where they see it in their jobs.
I'm part of environmental committee, actually.
Oh, cool.
From Eugene ELP here, at least I know that we're always looking to find better ways to minimize waste and how we can improve. We meet quarterly, but we also we're always trying to communicate with associates, and we actually have a really nice cool tool called Cutting Edge, and so a lot of the time too we get input from not just here but from the other mills and stuff. So we're always trying to see what's out there and how we can do better for the environment.
Very, very cool. Those are great examples. How great that we have someone as part of the committee on the call and we didn't even know it.
We totally planned that.
I figured as much.
The only reason they wanted me.
I know. Okay, bye, Michaela. Just kidding. Okay, so back to I just want to touch briefly on your roles within your respective companies. So if you had to summarize what your job duties are, or what piece of the pie you are within your company in like under 30 seconds, and you were explaining it to a high schooler, how would you explain what it is that you do within your company? And we can just start with volunteers, whoever wants to go first.
Let's go with Sean. Can you hear us?
If you can hear us, we can't hear you.
Okay. So let's go, Michaela.
Well, my title, production lead or also team leader has been used. I think that really sums it up because, my job is to lead my team. So I work swing shift in the press department. So it is my job to lead my team to be successful. And so I think that would sum up what I do here.
Very cool.
And she does a good job too.
Thank you.
Garrett?
Yeah, and I can kind of speak for Sean too. So Sean is a millwright for us. So he's actually out fixing machines, looking at them and kind of give them a tune up. You can think of it as, doing an oil change on your car, but a lot more technical than an oil change, right? So he's getting to kind of be hands-on every day, helping out, right, Michaela? If Michaela needs help with getting a piece of equipment running, right, then Sean's out there helping, figuring it out, troubleshooting. Really fun role. And then my role, I am Sean's supervisor, along with, we have a team of about 20 some millwright electricians. And so I supervise that team, very similar to what Michaela's doing, just get to lead that crew and solve problems throughout the day, deal with all kinds of different crazy stuff. Every day looks very, very different. It's very exciting. It's very busy. And yeah, it's a very, and like I was saying with the team environment, right? In the maintenance world, it's, there's a lot of troubleshooting and thinking and kind of the technical side that can be a lot of fun and can really bring the team together to help solve problems. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Garrett.
I'll say for me, human resources, the main thing is the human side of things. So I'm really dealing with the people, involved in the process of the hiring and sometimes the firing. When people have issues come up, they can come talk to me. We can talk to supervisors. So just really kind of being the middleman of, the hourly, the salary, and kind of trying to, merge that gap a little bit.
Okay. Emma or Mario?
I'll jump in here. So I'm the mill manager here. I'll say that I'm appreciative that I get on the job training every day to help me understand what I need to do to help my teams here. I think simply put, the process flow, we buy raw materials and, we produce a product that goes into people's homes. And there's a lot of teams and people and expertise and process that goes into that. So my role is to try and help align and make sure that our focuses and that processes are aligned, make sure people have resources, training, good solid growth and development programs so that we can continue to do that and serve our customers in the way that aligns with our customer values, or excuse me, our company values.
Great, thank you. And Emma,
it also aligns with your customers' values too. So yeah, a lot of that is so I've got my production team that I lead and might troubleshoot daily workflow problems, but then also I'm constantly looking at the department as a whole to see where I can make changes to make things better, make things more ergonomic, easier on the body, quicker, faster, optimized for speed and continue to maintain quality. Really want to get the food reliably in a quality way to our customer on time in the quickest way that we can. And so to that end, I'm helping my team gain skills. I might be teaching somebody how to use a computer that never knew how to use a computer before, because the work has changed and now we need to use computers to do the work. And I want that person to still have a job, and I need to use a computer now. So it sort of like Garrett said, every day is a new and exciting adventure. And yeah, pretty much like that.
Yeah, that's great. So now, I don't know, was that Sean Garrett that just jumped on the screen with you?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
welcome, Sean.
Sorry.
Sorry for the technical difficulties, but welcome.
That's all right. Thank you.
So I think I'm going to challenge you all to be a little introspective, look within yourselves, and try to identify what skills or characteristics you possess that make you successful in your job. So what are some skills that you have that make your job, that make you successful in this position? And I heard things like problem solving. Yeah, Emma, go for it.
I'm ready. I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm positive and optimistic. But I'm also, I really delight in multitasking.
Mm-hmm.
And with 7 different enterprises and, 8 different people, there's always some new thing to think about. And I definitely like that. And I also, I'm really process and improvement oriented. I really get a lot of satisfaction out of making something better, making someone stay better. I also really care about people, and to teach somebody a new skill, just like that makes the work easier and better and faster and cheaper, as well as it's a life skill that this person can then take and bring with them somewhere else. I think I'm really good at all those things, and that makes my job really fun and gratifying as well. So that's what I would say.
Love it. Thank you, Emma. Who else? Go for it.
I definitely, what you had to say, Emma, I find that very relatable. I really love interacting with people, and I feel like I'm really good at it and communicating with my team. And when I come into work, it's, a fresh start for me. I try to have a good attitude and a good outlook on the day. And, I like being there and being able to help people throughout the day, troubleshoot, help them with their needs, and just make their day, because if you have a happy team, then you're going to have a good day and you're going to have a good, product. That's kind of how I see it. And I think I'm very good at multitasking too. So I like to stay busy, so it can be challenging at times, but I thrive kind of in that environment. So I like to stay busy and, you know, stay in communication with my team and just know that they're, you know, being successful.
That's great. Thank you. Come on, gentlemen. Who's got one?
I'll jump in. Okay. I would say for me, for one, in the supervisor role, probably at least one of my favorite parts and something I think I'm good at. I really love working with people and talking and coordinating, right? Figuring out lots of different things, and, you know, hey, this person's going to go to this area and that person's going to go there. I really, really enjoy that. But kind of, I mean, very, very similar. There's a theme here, if you're listening, is that I really enjoy working with people. I care about people, you know, the people that work here, right? They're my friends. They're my, you know, my colleagues. They're people that I really do care about them, their families, right? And so I think that goes a long ways for being good at, you know, being good at your job. And then on the maintenance side, because I'm our maintenance supervisor, and very similar to Sean, is that I think that we like tinkering with things. We like fixing things, right? We like solving problems and kind of getting our hands dirty. There's a bit of that in the maintenance world. You know, some days you walk away and you're completely covered in sawdust, and usually that's a pretty fun day. I'd say you agree. Yeah. Sean's usually pretty well covered in sawdust and grease, and but generally those are the best days. So yeah, I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, I'll jump in here. You know, I think that some of the things you've already heard are very similar to my role. Being able to communicate with people. I think just having the listening skills to really understand what somebody is trying to say. Sometimes the words people choose can be difficult, but really understand the intent of what they're trying to say. You know, I mentioned earlier around having on-the-job training, right? Being able to learn quickly new situations. None of our jobs here are jobs where you have to know everything. You can't know everything. There's too much. But the ability to learn quickly and adapt is a very important part of that. You know, for me, as I learn new things in this role, one thing that I lean heavily on as I go through decision-making process. I have a finance and accounting background that helps me understand financial implications of decisions and directions that we go. So there's, you know, a lot of math and accounting that I rely on that I took in high school and college to help me build that foundation.
So you do find yourself drawing upon math skills that you learned in high school and college?
All the time.
Good.
Very frequently.
That's so good to hear. I know it exists within most career paths, but we don't always hear that explicitly called out. And I think math teachers everywhere are jumping up and down. That's awesome, because it's hard when you're looking at a textbook as a student to try to wrap your head around how this applies to real life. But that's very cool. Very cool to hear.
Very important part of the job.
Okay, very nice. Casey?
So I think for me, this is why you don't go last, because you have nothing else to say, because everybody's already said it all.
Fair.
So I'll quickly just, I mean, a lot of it's on repeat, but being in my role, just being a you know, people person, you got to be able to adapt. You got to be able to understand different people and kind of what makes them tick. Having a big heart, because there's some things. I mean, you can enjoy some celebrations. Then there's some things that happen with employees, you know, whatever, that isn't so fun. So just having a big heart and being compassionate.
Yeah. Yep, that's a great point. Emma, were you going to add something?
Yeah. What Mario was talking about the math skills, I wouldn't say that exactly I'm like trigonometry calculusing over here. But I would say that taking a complex word problem and distilling it down into an equation is something I do every day.
Wow.
And Excel skills I use every day, and persuasive writing skills I use every day, and the ability to look at many competing priorities and pick something that's more important to focus on, and then communicate that strategic thinking, I think is invaluable in my daily life.
Really like what you said there, Emma, around taking word problems and turning it into a math equation. That really is what it is people have concerns or problems and trying to then, okay, well, what are the numbers behind this, and how do I understand what that equation is to help me understand the math part of that problem.
And how do I turn it into an infographic that I can show somebody
Yes.
and have them understand the story that I'm trying to tell them in less than 10 seconds?
That's great.
Maybe less than 3.
Sean, are you trying to jump in here?
Oh yeah, I got one thing I'd like to say.
Please.
I'm a people person, you know. Like I joke with my wife. Sometimes I'm a counselor. I got a guy on my crew that actually calls me sometimes or texts me at home when he's got trouble,
Oh, wow.
problems to deal with, and I care a lot about him.
Yeah, that speaks to the family vibe that was mentioned earlier. I think if that didn't exist, then someone wouldn't be calling you outside of work hours with, for help. So that's great. That's really great. So entry-level jobs at your companies, these tours are targeted at high school students, whether they have a plan for post-graduation or not. It's really all about career exploration. So I would love to talk about what kinds of entry-level jobs you all have open, or maybe not open right now, but that a high school graduate could fill. And then what are some of the skills that you're looking for in those entry-level positions? A lot of what we've talked about can be learned and probably have been learned over the course of our careers. But for someone just starting out, what are you looking for?
I would like to hear from Michaela on this one.
I knew it. So I know within our department, the press department, we are hiring. We have a lot of people who are retiring. Just all the people who started out here, they're all now finally retiring, and so we have production entry level. So they start out operating what we call as a 4-foot press. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but they start out
1987.
Oh, wow. Sorry.
No, 1987 still, that's a very high starting wage.
And then generally we hire for, eventually we can train on day shift, but we hire for swing shift, which is 3 to 11, which is what I work. And then we hire for graveyard, which is from 11 to 7.
Okay.
But I think when we look for people, we're looking for people who are interested in a career, who share our core values, reliable, dependable, and education's always a bonus, but and experience. But if you have a good attitude and you share those core values, and you're looking to make a career or further your career, I think there's always a place for people here.
So I didn't hear you say that they need to come in with like technical skills or know how to operate any kind of machinery. That is true?
That is true. So actually, I've been here for over 7 years, and when I first came here, I came from being a cashier at Albertsons.
Perfect. That's awesome.
And it was nerve-wracking, but within the first weeks of being here, I knew it's exactly what I wanted to do. And wow. I've had a lot of support, and I just always have been determined to push myself, and it's shown, and in an important role and stuff, and I work very hard for it. But it's just like I said, as long as you share those core values, you have a place here.
Yeah, and it looks like your hard work was recognized, which is always important in a company, and then responded to by promoting you. So that's it's a great attribute to the company.
So I'll say that usually there's not too many people that are going to step in here and start on day shifts. So swing shift to graveyard shift. So sometimes those are tough hours, but usually for the younger folks, it's a little bit easier to do that. So we do, like we said, we do start at 1987, and then after a year you go to $20.52. 18 months is $21.24. 24 months is $21.53. Then 36 months is $21.95. So there's always room to grow, that way as well.
Okay,
If
excellent.
you don't mind me chiming in, you get extra 50 cents for swing and graveyard. So
Correct. There's a little bit more.
yeah,
That's nice. That's a nice
that
incentive. Those shifts almost feel like a rite of passage to me, that you put in your time on swing shift or graveyard, and then with time, and after you've proven yourself, you move into, day shift or just better hours.
And I'll say, and maybe this is more, for Garrett and Sean, but, let's say you start here as an hourly production person, but your goal is to get into maintenance. Your end goal is not to work hourly production. I think, we do a really good job of hiring, finding those people within and go through our apprenticeships, and, maybe Garrett, you can and Sean can speak to more of the maintenance side as well.
I like nothing more than to see a young person that really wants to get in the shop. I don't care what they know. They can know nothing, and that's great. I would show them anything they need to know.
Great.
As long as they have a good attitude and they want to come to work, and that's great. But if you got somebody with a poor attitude, that's really going to bring a shift down.
Yeah. We hear that everywhere. Does not matter what industry, what business, it does not matter. Attitude seems like the most important skill that you can bring to a job.
Yeah.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
So what does a good attitude mean to you? What specific actions and because plenty of people think they have good attitudes, and then afterwards you're like, no. So
Good question.
Yes.
To the Weyerhaeuser crew.
Like if you have a
Oh,
breakdown at work, you can get all upset about having a breakdown, or you could all put your heads together and figure out a way to solve it safely and the quickest way possible.
I think it has a lot to do with when you come in, not being negative and having a good outlook on the day. And it's the willingness to work and being a team player. I think that shows you have a good attitude. You can notice that right away from people if they're willing to, do the extra work and lend a helping hand.
And I would say to, pony off that, I said also the willingness to be able to get coached. I think that with some people that can be the hardest thing is when we're coaching, we're not saying, you're bad, you're not any good. We want you to be better. We want you to succeed. We're going to give you the tools. So being able to take that coaching and kind of use it in a positive manner.
Absolutely.
I think one way you can gauge a positive attitude versus a not so positive one is how people around you that you may not know or know very well interact with you. And what you can see, if people tend to stay away from you or they don't like to ask you questions, it can be an indicator that maybe you don't have a positive attitude, or maybe you're not very approachable. If you find that people regularly go to you, they're comfortable asking you questions, they like interacting with you, talking with you, that's generally indicative of a positive attitude, or I think it was, a positive part of the culture and team.
That's a great point. It's a really great point.
The only thing that I would add to that would be communication skills. Just if somebody wants something, knowing how to compromise and understanding compromise. And at Hummingbird, we're always creatively solving problems. We're so small that we have to be nimble and shift and change. And sometimes the work will change. And what you thought your job was going to be, it's shifting because the company's shifting, the customer wants and needs are shifting. And I think there's a limited amount of resources that I'm trying to equitably distribute across all of the needs. And so what I come into contact with is understanding compromise and communicating.
Okay. Emma, what about entry-level positions at Hummingbird?
Yeah, I would say we look for people with in the production department, a lot of the work is more independent. So we need people who can be trustworthy, responsible, like have a sense of urgency and pace, without that external motivator of like the machine's coming, the I don't really know what it's like when the press board's coming down the line, but so that and flexibility. I wouldn't say that we necessarily look for people with a lot of technical skills. We are currently hiring an entry-level production associate, and in that, I've been prioritizing candidates with that are positive and energetic and have some sort of relatable experience washing something or cooking something or portioning something or packaging something.
Sure.
Any sort of food service, dishwashing, restaurant, cafe. I would say for the right candidate, we also have customer service jobs that are entry level, that are on the phones. We just hired an entry level purchaser, which is a little higher level and definitely needs more computer skills, professional writing skills, and math skills, and then say the entry level production worker.
Sure.
And I have also been looking for people who have an interest in someday growing their skills. Like we talked about earlier about lifelong learner.
Yeah.
It's just so invaluable.
That's great. So another goal of these tours, especially manufacturing tours, since it is such a vital, I mean, it's a vital industry to all communities, but it's huge in Lane County. And I don't think that all of our young people know this. And I didn't know this before this job. I was touring companies I had no idea existed. And so I guess my question to you all is what are some of the common misconceptions you've heard from folks about what they think manufacturing is, or what a manufacturing plant is supposed to look like, or what manufacturing jobs are like? What are some of the common misconceptions you hear, and what's the truth?
I would say that that a common misconception that I've heard is that there are just big assembly lines, big machines. We don't have any of that. It's just a person with a little spigot just pouring some oil into a bottle. That's all there is to it. We put it on a pallet, we put it in the warehouse, we pack it, and we ship it. And our wages aren't quite as good as Weyerhaeuser's. I'll say that. Sure. But we don't have a swing shift or a graveyard. And I would say the safety considerations are we do definitely value safety, but the danger quota is a little lower. It's much less likely that your arm will get sucked into a machine and tore off. Not that wouldn't happen at Weyerhaeuser, but millwork is a little more dangerous than standing with a scoop, and it's differently dangerous, I would say. Ergonomic challenges are definitely also danger.
Okay. What are some other misconceptions? Yeah, Mario.
I think that when people think of the wood products industry, maybe they think of what it was 40, 50 years ago, where it's very labor intensive and so forth. And there are jobs where you're moving around or have to pull boards, but it's much different than that. Quite frequently, you're standing in front of a console, pushing buttons to operate machinery or stop it or reset it, or having to understand, okay, how is the machinery working and what do I need to understand about this piece of equipment to help make it work better? Something that you learn on the job there. Mm-hmm. I also think that people think of the wood products industry as a very dangerous industry, where in the past you might see people with missing teeth or lost fingers or that sort of a thing. I think we're well beyond that, especially within Weyerhaeuser. Here, when we tend to have injuries. It might be somebody has a splinter or sliver in their finger, or they may have pulled a muscle or something along those lines. There are some that can be worse than that, but those are much less frequent.
Thanks, Mario.
I agree with a lot of what he had to say. I think people think there's a lot of risk in what we do, but I feel like we, number one, so we use a lot of that to mitigate any risks from the hazards that are here. And then I talked a little bit about this because I think somebody actually asked me about this in the last interview, was being a woman at Weyerhaeuser. I think they think it's a manly job. Like I still have a friend till this day. She brags, she's like, oh, she works in a mill. And I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. But, you know, it's, you know, people think it's really labor intensive and it can be, but like we're technically, you don't even lift over 35 pounds here. If you are, you have a tool or you have assistance. And, you know, like I said, as long as you have the core values and, you know, like there's a place here for anyone. And, but I think there's also sometimes the opposite. People come in here thinking easy money, but, you know, they like, oh, wood products, whatever, that's easy. But, you know, we take our product very seriously because it goes into people's homes. It goes into buildings like schools, businesses. And, you know, you have to think, is that something you're going to stand behind and be proud of? Would you purchase that product that you make? So, you know, it's not just glue and wood together. It's a lot more than just that.
Absolutely. Thank you for touching on the women in the industry piece. Yeah, it was awesome to go through and tour, and I felt like every other employee we saw was a woman, and that's it's not always the case in all of our manufacturing tours, and so that was
even in management too. There's a lot of women in upper management as well, so it's from entry level.
It's a great point. It's a great point. Any other common misconceptions?
Can I add to the woman comment?
Yeah, of course.
So before I was working at Hummingbird, I was working in small scale organic agriculture at different farms and just as a farm worker. And I, you know, the women would get, you know, go pick the herbs, go talk about, you know, your kids and your dinners and, you know, your boyfriends or whoever. You know, I didn't think anything of it. But then I got to Hummingbird and there was a room full of women and they weren't talking about dinner, babies, or men. And it just changed my life. You know, women can just be, there doesn't have to be a man around and we can talk business, we can talk profits, we can talk anything we gosh darn well want to. And we can get a lot of things done. And so I just remember coming in as a little, you know, a few years ago, and just being totally surprised.
That's great. It's awesome to hear. All right, so we are nearing the end of this hour, and so I think we will finish off on just one last question, and that is, and it's kind of a broad one, so interpret this as you wish. But what advice would you have for a high school student in Lane County who isn't really sure about what they would like to do next? It could be life advice, it could be career advice, but what would you say to them?
You know, one of the best pieces of advice I got from a manager I had probably 12 years ago or so, and I was trying to figure out what do I want to do, you know, in my career. And what he told me was, you know, even if you don't know what you want to do, you should pick something and work towards it. Because if you don't and you go around a long time not knowing what you're going to do, then you're going to get 5-10 years down the road and not having worked towards anything.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. You know, it's better to, people think if you try a career and then it's not for you and you leave that you're quitting, and it's not quitting. At least if you try, you did something, and like you said, you work towards something. And if it wasn't for you, then, you know, you move on and you just continue.
Absolutely. Garrett or Sean?
You know, the one thing I would say that's, maybe I'm veering from the question a little bit, but that I learned. So I have a engineering degree from Oregon State University. So I didn't come in at the entry level. I started off as a production supervisor, but I'll tell you this, through college, I had no clue what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to go, build cars or do this or that, whatever, who knows, there's all kinds of crazy ideas. But the one thing that I've learned as I'm young in my career and learning and figuring things out is that I wanted to work somewhere where there were good people, good values, and I've learned, right, whether I enjoy wood products or not, is that the one thing that's consistent about, Weyerhaeuser and Hummingbird and all these other places is that there's people that work there. And so that's the number one theme that I like to focus on, is that, what are the people that work there, the people that we want to be around, is the company, share values that I care about. I think that's, one of the most important things to look for, and maybe not worry so much about whether you're, in wood products, or whether you're working in a grocery store, whether you're in customer service or a salesman or whatever it is, but instead look for kind of the people and the culture and that type of thing is far more important.
That is my guiding compass as well. That's exactly what I follow. So that's an excellent point. Thank you. Emma, I see that you're unmuted. Go for it.
Sure. I think back to when I was a high schooler. I'm like, I'm not good at anything. What will I be when I grow up? Like, there's this point that will come someday when you will have made that choice, and it'll be done. Ta-da! Like, everything's solved. But that it hasn't happened yet, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say that it was so paralyzing for me to think that I had to, that a certain day was going to come and I would have to make a choice. And I just want to say that you've been making choices. Like, the whole life trajectory is a lot of small choices that you've already started making, and you're going to keep making. If you try to stop or not, it's not like a Ferris wheel that you can just jump off. Or, I mean, you can, but that's like, skip that part. You're already doing it, and you don't need to worry so much about what you're good at or what you're not good at, because what you're good at is more fun, so you're probably gonna be drawn to it.
I like it. Thanks, Emma. Casey or Sean?
Yeah, so once again, going last, everybody was spot on with everything that they said. But I would say first and foremost, enjoy where you're at in life right now. I mean, I don't know how many people would say, hey, I'd love to go back to high school. High school was a good experience for me. I enjoyed high school. So, right now in your life, live it up and take advantage of opportunities. Like everybody else said, you don't know, you're going to have no idea. You're going to probably change your degree a few times if you go to college. You're not quite sure. I think I've changed, probably 4 times of what I want to do. Am I done changing? Probably not. We'll just see, how life goes. But I'll say, last but not least, where you're at right now, make sure you finish that high school diploma. Make sure you go finish that GED. I think those are 2 key things that will really set you up, for your future.
Great point. Thank you, Casey. Sean, any parting words?
Well, let's see. I gotta say, when I came here straight out of high school, I didn't have much going on. I had a kid coming, and I had to work, and I had to work now, and I was scared to death. Yeah. This place is great. I've never seen a place where somebody could come to work and move up so dang fast if they want to. If they want to come to work every day and work hard, you can go anywhere you want to be. You can do Mario's job. Yep. It's just a great place, and anybody that wants to try it should come try it at least.
I love it. All right. I heard that you both have entry-level positions open. So would they find those on Weyerhaeuser's website and Hummingbird's website?
wy.com/careers. We got a billboard coming up first of next week. We've got some virtual ads out there. We're going to hopefully be all over Eugene.
Love it. Emma, where can we find your job openings?
Yes, similar. You can Google Hummingbird production jobs or Hummingbird jobs and put it in the old search engine.
Eugene, Oregon. Love it. All right. Thank you so very much for A, opening your doors to our cameras for a tour, and B, for joining us today for this live Q&A. We really appreciate your commitment to students. So thank you, and have a fabulous Friday, hopefully tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay.
You too.
Bye, everyone.
All right.